So here's my house full of 8 people.
9.
9.
10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Wait a
8,
minute.
9.
I don't know how to.
Mom doesn't count.
Okay. I hope I got people.
Probably in your audio.
Yes. All right. Would you be interested in a food that helps prevent illness as well as strengthens your immune system against future illnesses? What about a food that can break down toxins and eliminate them? Would you be open to the idea that what you eat can have a powerful effect on your mood and even your mental health? These questions have fascinated me for years, and I have spent that time researching this topic. So let me introduce you to Lactobacillus. Lactobacillus is a bacteria that is very helpful to have in our bodies. Actually, there are lots of bacteria both living inside you and on your skin. And it doesn't matter how many showers you take, Lactobacillus or bacteria is a part of you. So, everyone has bacteria on their bodies and in their bodies, but there's 2 different types, harmful and helpful. And I want to show you how to encourage the beneficial bacteria. So, the question is how do we use bacteria to benefit us? The answer, by making them part of our diet with fermented foods. Fermented foods are rich in probiotics. Probiotics mean that they are life-giving, and we're talking about bacteria here. The foods in it these foods are an environment that cultivates this helpful bacteria. In fact, another way to describe fermented food is to say that the food is cultured. We are intentionally promoting bacteria in our food for health benefits. This process of culturing the food preserves food in its most natural state. It keeps its fiber content, high enzyme, and vitamin content. In other words, this fermented food is nutritionally dense. Most common fermented foods are vegetables, which are, in my opinion, the easiest to do as well as the most beneficial. Dairy products, grains, and drinks. So would fermented foods be helpful to you? Let's consider a few symptoms of having harmful bacteria overgrowth to see if you could be helped by getting some fresh probiotics. A few signs that malicious bacteria are bossing you around are a weak immune system. Are you frequently plagued by colds or allergies or infections? One study that supports this correlation between allergies and intestinal health was published in a Journal of Allergy and Clinical Immunology in 2011. Do you deal with skin rashes, unhealed sores, fungal toenails, or acne? Do you have recurring yeast infections, mood disorders? Have you noticed candida tongue? Have you ever seen anyone with a white coating on the back of their tongue and they kind of have a chronically icky breath? Part has to do with bacteria. Do you deal with diarrhea or constipation? These are some areas that can be improved by eating real cultured food. The main reason that I started learning about fermented foods was that I was trying to find a way to preserve my garden produce in the most nutritionally advantageous way possible. When I found out how easy it was to ferment vegetables, I was ecstatic. So all you need is a jar and your lids, quality salt, good water, and your veggies. First, you wash and cut up your veggies and you load them in your jars. You make a salt brine. It's just 2 or 3 teaspoons of salt per quart of water, which you cover the vegetables with your brine. You put the lid on it and you let it sit on your counter for a couple of days. I think we can all agree that that's pretty doable. Another huge reason that attracted me to fermented foods is that it utilizes the natural bacteria that the earth offers. Lactobacillus is a soil-based organism, and it thrives on untreated plants. Commercial food manufacturers destroy these bacteria through high heat processing. And you don't have to look very far to see the consequences. We are a disease-ridden culture starving for nutrition. Some of you might be thinking, well, anthrax is a soil-bound, found in the soil too, and you would be right. However, anthrax is seldom found in countries that properly remove cow carcasses from their herds. Typically, anthrax is spread through drought conditions when the cows eat the grass all the way down to the dirt in an effort to get all that they can, and they ingest contaminated dirt from an area in which a diseased cow had decomposed. So I'm not too worried about anthrax in my garden or my local farmer's garden. Foods rich in vitamins, enzymes, and probiotics help balance good bacteria and harmful bacteria in the environment in our digestive systems. We know the small and the large intestines work in tandem with our lymph and immune system. The main job of our intestines, if you think back to 3rd grade, is to absorb particles from what we ingest. We can either give ourselves empty processed calories or high energy, nutritionally dense fuel. Choosing the latter strengthens our bodies against infections and pathogens. Personally, when I first started using cultured foods and avoiding manufactured sugary foods, I first noticed I had much clearer skin. But the opposite is true too. I can tell that when I've eaten refined foods that by how my skin reacts. It's a pretty constant indicator for me. Another fun benefit that I enjoyed just this past summer was that I got rid of 2 fungal toenails. For as long as I can remember, my pinky toenails were ugly, gray, and thickened, and I thought that that's just how they were. But in addition to eating fermented foods, I applied oil of oregano to those toenails, and I watched normal pink toenails grow out and replace the old ones. It was so exciting. There are a lot of supplements out there that claim to be great sources of probiotics, but according to the 30 years of experience of Dr. Mercola, an osteopathic family practitioner, the best way to increase beneficial bacteria is by eating fermented food. Sally Fallon, in her book Nourishing Traditions, describes how every culture on every inhabited continent has historically utilized the process of fermentation to benefit their health and to use food as medicine. For example, Captain Cook, on his 2nd round-the-world voyage, loaded 60 barrels of lacto-fermented sauerkraut on his ship. After 27 months at sea, 15 days before returning to England, he opened the last barrel and offered some sauerkraut to Portuguese noblemen who had come on board, and they carried the rest of the barrel off to share with their friends. This last barrel was perfectly preserved for over 2 years, despite the continual climate changes and the constant rocking of the ship. The sauerkraut had preserved sufficient quantities of vitamin C to protect the entire crew from scurvy. Not one case occurred during the long voyage, even though this disease normally decimated crews on voyages of this length. To finalize these thoughts, I hope you've come to understand the value of fermented foods and have learned that the right kind of bacteria can seriously impact your health for good. Culturing these bacteria is an easy process that anyone can do. Because lactobacillus is found on garden produce very naturally, it seems to me that nature intends to benefit us physically by freely providing us this gift. I feel it's a credit to our intelligence to gratefully accept it.